welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi replied to the no confidence motion in Lok Sabha today. It was a 2 hours, almost 25-minute speech, out of which he devoted 1 hour, 30 minutes in condemning the opposition alliance. He called them opportunists. He called them hungry for power. He raked in the history where he began with his usual Nehru bashing. After which the opposition walked out. Of course, they were raising slogans that we want Manipur. But till the time the opposition leaders were present inside Lok Sabha, Prime Minister didn't utter a word on Manipur. But after the opposition left the Lok Sabha, PM said that he's assuring the people of Manipur that things will come back to normal. He says that the country stands with Manipur. But as far as the violence in Manipur is concerned, he said that Home Minister Amit Shah has already explained in detail yesterday when he made a 2 hour, 20-minute speech. Now, is that enough? What the Prime Minister said, has it really done justice to Manipur? Because the opposition's objective was to force Narendra Modi to say things on Manipur, to hold him accountable for what has happened. But all that seems to have just been washed away. So how would one rate Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech inside Lok Sabha, and what will the opposition do now? Joining me now is Aditi Padnis. She's a political editor of Business Standard. Thank you so much, Aditi, for joining. TK Rajalakshmi, deputy editor, The Frontline. Thank you so much. We have Pushparaj Deshpande, who is the director of Samrit Bharat Foundation and also the editor for the Penguin India Rethinking series. And we have senior journalist, former Indian Express journalist Vivek Deshpande with us. Thank you so much, Vivek. All of you welcome on the Federal. And my first question to Aditi Padnis. Aditi, what would you really say to PM's speech where the opposition walked out after 1 hour, 30 minutes, where he did not mention anything on Manipur for almost 1.5 hours? And at the end of his speech, if you look at, all he's told the nation on Manipur is that the PM stands with the people on Manipur. He's assured them on Manipur of peace. But what else would you really say on what he has said?
So let's disaggregate the speech into achievements of the government, which he spoke about, which were basically his achievements, the issues that he had flagged on a number of occasions. Those were the achievements of the government. The second was India's position in the world and how it has reached a certain tipping point and is now in a position to call the world to account because of its position. The third part was on Manipur, and on Manipur, what he basically said was that worse things have happened in Manipur in the past. The Congress was responsible for those errors or whatever the stresses and strains in the fabric of Manipur, whether it was extortion, whether it was communalism, whether it was casteism, etc. He also got the whole Northeast in to say that more damage has been done in the Northeast by Congress governments successively than any other government, which stands to reason because there were only Congress governments in power. There was the BJP was never there in the Northeast in any meaningful way. And he said that all that was stamped out until there was an order of the court. And he said in that he took a gratuitous swipe at the court and basically said that we know how courts reach a decision. And then he went on to say, basically that equivocating between the two groups which are fighting in Manipur to say that worse things have happened in the past and without detracting from the seriousness of what is happening there. Right. So in all, it was an attempt to assuage feelings in Manipur, but I don't think the people of Manipur would have been particularly happy at his speech. They wanted, I think they may have expected more an announcement of immediate direct action.
Right. Pushpraj, if I may come to you, of course, he did speak on Manipur. He broke his silence on Manipur on the first day of the monsoon session. And now he's assured the people of Manipur of peace and says that things will come back to normal. But also along with Manipur, he tried to address the Northeast constituency. And he said that all the problems in Northeast are because of the Congress government. Now, at the end of the day, if you look at the past 3 days, today and the 2 days of discussion which happened, do you think that Modi has really done justice to the no confidence motion? I mean, the reply which he has given.
Hi, Neeluji. See, Pradhan Mantri Modi reduced Parliament to 2024's first election rally. For 91 minutes, he waxed eloquently on every political topic under the sun, literally every political topic. He joked, blocked, and mocked, but he didn't mention Manipur. He spoke on Manipur only when the opposition was forced to walk out at his theatrics and cheap tricks. But in getting the PM to mention Manipur, if only for 3 minutes out of the 133-minute speech, the opposition did succeed in winning a moral victory. After all, the PM did promise to the people of Manipur that the government will work to restore peace. That's what the no confidence motion set out to achieve, and the India bloc must get credit for that. Of course, it would have been infinitely better and more meaningful had Pradhan Mantri Modi visited Manipur and made the statement there, like Pradhan Mantri Manmohan Singh did when after the 2012 Pokrajhar riots. He went to Assam, visited camps, made a statement and held a press conference. But I guess different PMs, different priorities. But I do want to point out something politically interesting. Did you notice one thing? In making his statement on Manipur, PM Modi began by saying that Home Minister Amit Shah was the right person to talk about the issue. And of course, he didn't mention that the infiltration happening from Manipur, the geopolitical foreign policy issues, aren't the Home Minister's remit, but I deviate. The PM kept praising Home Minister Amit Shah. To the best of my knowledge, I mean, others can mention, correct me if I'm wrong, he did not mention any other cabinet leader. He did not mention any other chief minister in his entire speech. I think he was cleverly positioning Amit Shah as his political heir. In doing so, he's cut Yogi Adityanath's prime ministerial ambitions. He's cut Gadkariji's ambitions. He's cut Himanta Sharma's prime ministerial ambitions. Now, whether this will spark an internal reaction from the RSS, I guess only time will tell. But before you move on to the other guests, I want to raise two issues that the PM spoke about, which adversely impact India's national interest. I would be remiss if I didn't speak about them. Right. One is that he spoke about Kacha-Thibu. Kacha-Thibu is an islet in the Lakshadweep area. It was ceded to Sri Lanka through an agreement signed by Indira Gandhi. Firstly, PM Modi did not mention that his government in August 2014 said in the Supreme Court that the only way to get this uninhabited islet was through war. Later that year, in the High Court, he said that the government said it's a settled issue and we don't want this islet black. But by raking this up again, Prime Minister Modi is unnecessarily needling Sri Lanka. When China is aggressively creating a string of pearls to encircle India, why is the PM pushing Sri Lanka into China's red embrace? That's one point. Secondly, PM Modi spoke about the Air Force bombing in Mizoram. I concede that it was a sad day for India. As a firm proponent of Ahimsa, I don't endorse what happened. But Modi ji conveniently left out that the bombing happened because in February 1966, the Mizo National Army revolted against India, wanting to secede from India. They seized control. I know this because my grandfather was the CEO of Assam Rifles around that time. They seized control over the Assam Rifles Command Center, started killing our Jawans by the dozens. For 5 days, the army tried to wrest back control in vain. It was only then that the Air Force was forced to drop bombs. Yes, innocents were killed. I'm not condoning, I'm not saying whatever happened is right. It was extremely wrong. But Prime Minister Modi is deliberately raising this to whip up passions in Mizoram before the elections this year. He's not understanding that some of the organizations who strongly advocate and feel strongly for this issue are still seeking independence from India. Is the Prime Minister encouraging secessionism? I mean, does this behove a Prime Minister to talk about a secessionist movement on the floor of the House and the entire Treasury benches are thumping the benches? This is just not done.
Pushpraj, you've made an important point about this island. But what I want to ask you is that what you mean is that instead of soothing the passions, he's tried to provoke the sentiments further in Northeast? Is that what you're saying clearly?
not just the Northeast, but even in Sri Lanka. I mean, this is a very politically. I mean, this is both these issues are political hot potatoes. Why would the Prime Minister want to raise up these divisive issues? I mean, you've done this in Nagaland, you've done this in Manipur, you've done this in now you're doing it in Sri Lanka, you've done this in Haryana, you've done it in Western Maharashtra. How many places is the Prime Minister and the BJP directly going to divide just to get some few electoral gains?
Right. But before I come to Rajalakshmi and Vivek, what I want to ask you, Pushparaj, is that how does Modi stand to benefit if he's raising these divisive issues, the geopolitical issues which will have an impact on Sri Lanka, on China? How does it really help Modi?
Look, in Tamil Nadu, he knows that although the CM has already been advocating for this issue, he knows that the BJP is not going to make electoral gains there, right? So he's using that as an issue to rake up passions elsewhere, primarily the northern part of the region, northern part of India. The other thing is that if you see the pattern of where these riots are happening, Vivekji will attest to this, they're happening in Western Maharashtra where they stand to lose. They are doing this in Haryana, in areas, in constituencies where they're standing to lose. Keep this in mind that this has been the pattern for the BJP government for the last 9 years. In Bihar, they did this in 2018. In Delhi, they did this in 2020. In UP, they did this in 2013. Every time when the BJP stands to lose ground electorally, they whip up communal passions to create enough of a block to just get past the first past the system, first past the post system. That's it. They want to create a conservative block around themselves. That's all that there is.
Right. And do you think that the opposition will raise this issue further on this particular island, Kachativu? Is the opposition really going to raise this issue?
I don't think this is something that the opposition or any sensible statesman or anyone concerned in the national interest should be raising. These are issues of governance that you need to redress internally.
What I meant is that will the opposition point out that how Modi in his speech has tried to rake up these sentiments which he shouldn't have?
I mean, that's for the opposition strategists to figure out. But maybe if anyone's watching your show from the opposition bloc, India bloc, they might.
Okay. Now let me come to Vivek. Vivek, what would you really say to Modi's speech? It was high on rhetoric, high on passions, but short of substance. And as far as the Manipur context is concerned, has he really addressed the concerns of Manipur?
Nilu, I think, I've been saying this over the last 2 days that Mr. Modi will not address the Manipur issue to the extent to which a prime minister should be doing. And he has done exactly that. He has apportioned a very small part of his speech for the Manipur issue. And he has generally spoken on issues which are directed at his constituency. I mean, he has used this platform to further his agenda as BJP's prime minister, as BJP's leader, and he has tried to address his constituency. It doesn't matter to the prime minister as to what is happening in Manipur, because they have already turned it into a Hindu versus Christian there, without saying it in so many words. And when he says that the peace will return to Manipur, when? After so many people have been killed. I mean, is that the response a prime minister should be giving? So he knows that BJP supporters know it very well, that it has been turned into a Hindu versus Christian battle there in Manipur. So they are very happy. So his support base actually feels very happy at whatever the prime minister says. And he has addressed all those issues which are dear to his support base's hearts. Now, the problem is, BJP is seeing that, in 2024 elections, the things are not going to be very easy for them. So the first priority for the prime minister is to keep the flock of his supporters intact. They had 37% voters in the last election. They want to keep that voter base intact. So whatever is music to the ears of these people, the prime minister will say that he doesn't care what is happening in Manipur. And he has made it so amply clear by keeping silent on the issue for so many days, so many months on a trot. And finally, when he said it for a few seconds outside the parliament without elaborating further. Did he say today, I did not see his speech, I just read about it. Did he say that India must hang its head in shame on what has happened to the women in Manipur? Did he say that? He did not say it. So he did not say anything that a prime minister should be saying and should feel sorry about. He did not say that. I was expecting exactly this from the prime minister. What has happened over the last 2-3 days on this in this whole debate is that most of the speakers have devoted very less time on Manipur, including Rahul Gandhi. What did Rahul Gandhi do? In his 33-minute speech, he devoted about 15 minutes on Bharat Jodo, which was completely unnecessary. He did not contextualize the Manipur issue with what happened in Bharat Jodo. There was no connection between the two. So
Right.
overall, the whole purpose of getting the prime minister to speak on Manipur has got defeated. And
Right.
I was saying this, that the prime minister will use this opportunity to strengthen his constituency, which he did with aplomb. He has great oratorical speech and he is liked by his supporters. So the point is, they don't care about what is happening in Manipur. And that has been made amply clear. By the way, the Prime Minister spoke today in Parliament. And I think the whole purpose of this debate has got defeated. Nothing has come out of this debate. The opposition, whatever the opposition wanted, has actually not materialized. That is the whole point, I think, Nilu.
Okay, so Rajlakshmi, what Vivek is saying, that even the opposition has lost the narrative, and of course the government has lost it because they couldn't explain much on Manipur. So what did this no confidence motion at the end of the day achieve? We had a 3 days debate to which the Prime Minister replied. We all knew what he's going to say and how he's going to say it. It was quite predictable. And so what have you really achieved at the end of this no confidence motion? Yeah, Rajlakshmi, just unmute yourself. You're muted. Yes. Yeah. No, you're still muted. Rajlakshmi, you're still muted. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. You have to press the unmute button. No, you're still muted. No, I am not able to hear you. Okay, so just try and unmute. I'll come back to you. But in the meanwhile, I'll go to Aditi. So Aditi, the same question, that what has this no confidence motion really achieved? Because a no confidence motion is supposed to be a kind of a charge sheet against the sitting government. What has it really achieved?
Well, I'm slightly confused at the end of it, I have to admit, because the Prime Minister has tried to defend himself and his government. What did I take away from the no confidence motion? That the issue of Manipur, rather like what Vivek has said, has become a kind of a political football, which is, really sad. The issue of overall povertification and overall impoverishment of India, which we are seeing in a number of ways, has not really caught sort of popular imagination. And the India alliance, I mean, let's face it, the Prime Minister's attack was not on so much on the alliance as it was on the Congress. He basically trained his guns entirely on the Congress and not on the alliance. So I am not really very sure if everything that has been done has been achieved because of this.
But Pushpraj, if I may ask you, what Rahul Gandhi said yesterday about Prime Minister Modi, that he's the murderer of Hindustan, then he likened him to Ravan, and he said that the only two voices he listens to is Amit Shah and Adani. So from Rahul Gandhi's perspective, was Narendra Modi really able to counter Rahul Gandhi per se? Because Aditi says that it was more of Congress bashing. It was more of, because he spoke about dynasty politics, that, these bunch of people, they talk about dynasty politics. So has he really addressed the questions, what Rahul Gandhi also raised yesterday?
So, I mean, firstly, it's for the people to decide whether the Prime Minister was able to effectively answer or rebut the charges made by the opposition. That's my first point. And there are a lot of, he's pandered to the gallery. He's said a lot of things that typically go down very well with their core vote bank. I don't think there is any point in dignifying those particular issues or even raising them. But I do want to, now that you've raised it, he did attack the Congress and the UPA government on a number of things. And I do want to respond to a few of those points. One is that he was dismissive of the opposition's concern on the attack on institutions. It's very ironic that he's doing that on the day when the BJP government moved a bill on the floor of the House to remove the Chief Justice of India from the appointment process of the ECI, thus effectively reducing the election commission to a bloody election department of the BJP. Isn't that ironic? Secondly, he falsely suggested that the poverty has increased under the Congress government in the previous UPA government. I don't know, the facts were that I think 270 or 271 million Indians were lifted out of poverty in the 10 years of the UPA. In stark contrast, a World Bank report, I think it was called Poverty and Prosperity Report last year's, suggested that 56 million Indians fell below the poverty line in 2021. He also spoke about a number of macroeconomic figures, leaving out the fudge statistics. Let's assume that the fudge statistics are actually accurate. But he's forgotten to mention number of things that actually affect the common man. One, consumption expenditure, which accounts for 56% of India's GDP, is at a historic 50-year low. Unemployment is at a historic 48-year high. In a very real sense, incomes are falling, wages are stagnant, household debt has increased from 34,000 in 2016 to 56,000 last year. A recent SBI report said that basically Indians are foregoing expenditure on basic utilities and groceries just to make room for higher food prices and fuel prices. Then he spoke about surgical strikes. It happened 5 years ago. I don't know why he's stumping about this today before the 2024 elections. Even there, he forgot the 6 surgical strikes that happened under the Congress government. He also forgot about China encroaching on 2,000 square kilometers of India's land, and he's completely said कि ना कोई घुसा था, ना किसी ने कुछ कब्जा किया है. He also boasted about COVID vaccine being made in India. He forgot that it was made because of compulsory licensing that Indira Gandhi started, which basically enables Indian companies to reproduce research of foreign companies. It's quite and sell it at cheaper rates. It's quite another thing that the injection that should have been for 150 rupees was sold at 900 rupees. That profiteering was facilitated by the BJP. He also said that the UPA changed its name to India to fool the nation. I mean, it's a bit rich that the BJP government is talking about this, given that it's changed 32, 33 schemes that the UPA brought. Then he said that Mahatma Gandhi ko Congress party ne adopt kiya post 1920 because he was doing fantastic work. और ये कांग्रेस की फितरत है कि किसी और को adopt कर लेती है. He's forgetting to say that the BJP has spent over 42,000 crores to break parties and fielded 830 MLAs across the party lines. They came from other parties that the BJP fielded them, and many more people were fielded, have been given posts in the BJP. And then he's talking about the TMC, INC, Congress, CPI fighting. He's forgetting to talk about the fact that BJP himself allied to the Zomi reorganization front in Manipur. It aligned with the UKLF, the United Kuki Liberation Front in 2017 and 2019. Both of these are banned organizations. So, I mean, the BJP and the Prime Minister basically resorted to a lot of jumlagiri and sloganeering with there was no truth, factual basis to what he's saying. It's a lot of hot gas and no facts.
Okay, so a lot of hot gas and no facts. So, Rajlakshmi, if I can correct with you, yes.
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Sorry.
So, if he was short on facts, so can we really say that during the no confidence motion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, in a way, misled the House with wrong facts, and he's not answered the questions which were the answers which were expected out of him?
See, See, he was playing to the gallery. Okay, he was playing to the gallery. He was playing to a certain constituency, as as Vivek and others have sort of pointed out. So, so from his point of view, he did not appear to be contrite at all about what has happened in Manipur, because this was something, as others have also said, this was something that one expected him to sort of speak on that, or at least make some overtures, remorse of what has gone wrong. Instead, you point out, he points out all that went wrong in the Congress regime. In the Northeast, yes, the Northeast was in a messy state at that point, and yes, things had sort of evolved, over time, but now but not actually regressive, what has happened. And here is something, you are in fact taking back all the gains that were made over years of peace processes, years of dialogue with various insurgent groups, years of agreement, with various insurgent groups. The ceasefire agreement that the government had entered, the state government of Manipur itself had entered with the cookie groups, that was torn completely sort of asunder. The cookie groups said that we are not going to adhere to it now because we have to protect ourselves. Okay, the state police is not with us. You're not letting the army come and rescue us. Okay, so there were so many things that could have been discussed. And I also think that it was a failure of the opposition also to an extent in not flagging out the importance of Manipur itself, and also about other issues too. In fact, it gave a chance to Prime Minister Modi to speak about all the achievements of his government, including quoting from international agencies about poverty data. Now it's a fact that the government's own agencies have not been generating data. The consumer expenditure survey data is pending since 2017-18. The last it came out, the government refused to release it because the figures were not flattering. Okay, so here, but then here the government turns it around and says that, we have international agencies who have said that, that poverty has gone down. Okay, now here is where I would have expected the opposition to, in fact, when they had moved the motion, to actually corner the government on the state of the economy, etc. Because again, you're addressing a large audience. You're addressing the country through your depositions, essentially. And what he did ultimately was on in fact on expected lines, predictable lines. He attacked the Congress, he attacked Rahul, he in fact mocked the fact that Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was not allowed to speak, right? He spoke about the importance of digital India, and said that the data protection bill should have been discussed. When everybody knows that there are so many flaws in that same data protection bill, which have been discussed, ad nauseum in the media too, So to say that, that, oh, it was the opposition's onus, to discuss this bill, and that they sort of created an opportunity and they have sort of betrayed the mandate of the people. Come on, it is not the opposition, which is in government to do. You cannot accuse them of not doing something. So you see, the onus is on you to show, as to what you've done. And there, I think, he absolutely he absolutely failed. I mean, the whole tenor, the body language, was mocking, was in fact derisive, which was which everybody saw, which I'm sure people outside Parliament have also seen. And
right.
And I think, Neelu, one very significant thing is that, I mean, even though, Manipur may not have been sort of discussed to the extent that we may have, wanted there in both the opposition as well as the government to do. But the fact remains is that the whole country knows now that something happened very bad, extremely bad in Manipur, and that this government, the highest officials, did not go there. Okay, the PM did not speak. Okay, and till the government was compelled to hold a discussion. Okay, till the opposition compelled. So all these things are, very much in the public domain, and it's not really flattering, for the BJP.
Right.
I don't know.
I think absolutely a point very well taken. But you know what, Vivek, I was expecting when Amit Shah was speaking yesterday that he will say something on Biren Singh. Prime Minister also didn't say a word about Biren Singh. Now, does that mean that the government, the central government, especially the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, they've in a way given a clean sheet to Biren Singh, that whatever you've done was right and we will just go the way we are going? Vivek, unmute yourself. Vivek, you're muted.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, yes, Neelu, they have directly given a clean sheet. The excuse that the Home Minister gave for not removing Biren Singh was that Biren Singh was cooperating. I mean, is that the criterion on which you can excuse a Chief Minister who is not doing anything and who is acting in a completely partisan manner? So, cooperating with BJP government is absolutely, I mean, that is something to be expected, because they were working in tandem in Manipur, and they were not caring for the cookies. They were caring only for the Metis, it seems. So that is a kind of response that the Home Minister gave, which clearly showed that they are partisan. And had there been any other state where there would have been an opposition Chief Minister, they would have immediately removed him. So there is no doubt about BJP's partisanship. They have been partisan all through these 10 years. And the manner in which you see there, the manner in which they have treated the Delhi Chief Minister, they have withdrawn all his powers. They have reduced him to a kind of municipal head. So that is only to be expected from BJP. And what else do you expect from them? So Biren Singh gets away with it, and that was only to be expected.
Right.
Nilu.
So, Aditi, if I may ask you that who walks away with the narrative as far as the no confidence motion is concerned? Of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the very predictable lines has made a speech, which was quite blustering, and he didn't give answers on apparently just paying lip service to Manipur. But who walks away with the narrative? Because the troll army from both sides, I mean, the opposition as well as the ruling sides, will begin their flushing out their narratives now. But who walks away with the narrative in the real sense? Aditi, you're muted. Aditi, unmute yourself, please. Yeah.
I don't think either side has covered itself in glory.
Okay.
If the Prime Minister reduced the whole speech where he, he spoke for 2 hours, he got a chance to defend his government and also to present his government in very good light. I think the ring of conviction was somewhat lacking, given what we are seeing unfolding before us. So I would not say that the PM was, even while defending his government, this was one of his best speeches. He's made better speeches in the past. As far as the opposition is concerned, well, it was sad that the opposition did not and could not properly get its point through, and also the fact that if Kachativu, which is a contentious issue, has been lost, so has been lost. We don't know how many kilometers of land on the border with China. That discussion has never taken place, despite the fact that the opposition has been demanding it and demanding it. So, these are all issues which some issues are not discussed because it's not in national interest. Some issues are discussed over much, even though it's not in national interest. So it's a very one-sided kind of a debate or discussion that is taking place. And I think people outside have now begun to realize that what is said in Parliament is not necessarily what happens outside Parliament.
Absolutely. So, Raj Lakshmi, and then I'll come for the concluding comments to Pushpraj. I'll come to you, Raj Lakshmi, first. Has it really exposed the BJP government further? This no confidence motion, okay, whatever promises they are making, but the delivery, and also to what Aditi said. So the question is that, are they exposed further? Is BJP exposed further?
Definitely, you can't, you can fool people once, but maybe twice, but you can't fool them all the time, and the same kind of rhetoric being spoken about, same achievements on the same lines, Swachh Bharat, Digital India, Startup India. I mean, he just narrated the entire list, okay, which people have been listening for the last what? I mean, around perhaps maybe 10 years. And then, but the fact remains is that I mean, the armed janta of this country that is going through, okay, I mean, like a lot of angst, and all these things, do not address those issues. People are getting, the youth of this country who are earning, say, 15,000 or 10,000, up, say a month. They're not going to be sort of flattered by all these, promises. They'll all ask, वो 2 crore जो आपने कहा था नौकरी जो promise किया था कहाँ है वो? It's always going to come back. The same thing with the promises, Ujjwala Yojana. Now they might roll back the price of cylinders because the elections are coming. Okay, they will also promise some free cylinders on some occasions, but it's not going to again address the basic issue of skyrocketing price rise, and especially the price rise of essential food items, which this government has not been able to control or even address. So I think this entire soft, peddling on hardcore issues, and then to accuse the government, to accuse the opposition of betrayal, that's a little take really, because the onus of performance is on the government, is not on the opposition. The opposition can raise issues. It could have done a far better job, I think, on the whole, and I think they'll continue to do so. And again, for Mr. Modi to sort of narrate as to all the states where the Congress is not there, I think he forgot about Karnataka. He forgot about Himachal Pradesh. But the thing is that people do not forget. People are watching it. And they see the same style and the same things, being repeated ad nauseum, and they don't find anything new. And I would agree with what Aditi says, that there was nothing really sort of new, or even sort of something in his speech that one could have said is different. It was the same tone and the same mocking tone at the opposition. I wish, and I suppose everybody on this panel would have sort of wished him to be a bit more contrite, because of the name of this country, we have horrible sexual violence perpetrated against women in this country, okay, and the PM had nothing to say about it. So I'm sure several people, will be wondering on those lines. Yeah.
Right. The entire international media also covered when those two women were paraded naked. And that visual really reminds me again today when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was making the speech. Pushpraj, the last word to you, those horrific visuals of the women being paraded. And if you just contrast it with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech today. On the opposition bit, if I may ask you, what is the biggest takeaway for the opposition now? Of course, Prime Minister sounded repetitive. He was hollow on facts. Almost on the predictable lines. But what is the biggest takeaway now for the opposition, according to you?
I agree with what Aditi ji and Rajlakshmi ji are saying. It was a lot of old wine in new bottle. No new arguments or points. It was performative, not at all substantive. It's also a case of the boy who cried wolf too often. There was a large section in the speech when the Prime Minister tried to scare India about what will happen if the opposition comes back into government. He said that if they come back, India will descend into the dark ages, corruption will come back, nepotism will come back, falana dhimkana. But I think this is not going to click anymore. Memories of a lot of people have faded. A new generation has come in, new voters have come in, at least two new lots of voters. So I don't think it's going to click. But overall, I think that the opposition the India bloc would, be far more steeled in dealing with the BJP government going forward, because I don't think that we should expect, in the sense, not just the country, but also the India Alliance, should expect any kind of constitutional propriety or institutional or adherence to institutional norms. I don't know if everyone knows, but the LOP in the Lok Sabha, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, has been suspended today. So the fact of the matter is that on the day when they are claiming to be a great democratic government for just deigning and condescending to come into parliament and responding on the floor of the house to this no confidence motion, they've suspended the leader of the opposition, the largest party of the opposition. So I think the takeaway is that don't expect anything from these guys. Let's just work only to reimagine and, I guess, recalibrate their operational and programmatic methodologies. That they'll have to be far more creative in how they're going to tackle the BJP outside parliament. That is the key takeaway now.
Absolutely. And as a footnote, one must not forget, and of course, that news got lost somewhere in the din of the no confidence motion and PM's reply. And that is the key bill which has been introduced in Rajya Sabha today by the government on excluding the Chief Minister or the Chief Justice of India from the selection panel of the Election Commission of India. So what more could you say on the approach of the current government? Thank you so much. It was wonderful having all of you on the program. Aditi Fadnis, Pushpraj, TK Rajlakshmi, Vivek Deshpande. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us